there lived a woman named Zainabu. She was not famous, nor powerful, nor admired. She was simply known for her silence, her endurance, and the way suffering seemed to walk beside her as though it had chosen her for companionship. Zainabu's life bent early under weight. Her husband died before the walls of their home had learned the sound of laughter. What he left behind was not wealth, nor protection, only debt, suspicion, and a piece of land so dry that even weeds struggled to survive on it. In a village where strength was measured by visible success, Zainabu quickly became invisible. The people spoke of her quietly, but their silence was sharp. They said misfortune followed her footsteps. Some believed the gods had turned their backs on her. Others believed she carried a hidden curse. Whatever the reason, doors closed gently when she approached, and help rarely arrived without humiliation attached to it. Yet every morning, Zainabu rose before the sun. She tied her wrapper firmly, lifted her hoe, and walked to her land. Her body ached, but she did not complain. Hunger visited her often, but she learned how to negotiate with it, sometimes defeating it with patience, other times surrendering quietly to sleep. The seasons mocked her efforts. When rain came, it came violently, washing away seeds and hope together. When drought followed, it cracked the earth as though the land itself had grown angry with her. She worked for others when her own farm failed, fetching water, carrying firewood, cleaning compounds that were not hers. Her hands hardened, her back curved, and her youth faded without ceremony. At night, Zainabu sat alone outside her hut. The stars were her witnesses. She never cursed the heavens, never accused the earth, never raised her voice in anger. Instead, she spoke softly, as though pain could be calmed if addressed gently. "If my joy still breathes," she would murmur, "let it not forget me." Years passed like slow footsteps in the dark. One evening, when the sun was heavy and the air thick with dust, a traveler arrived at the edge of the village. His clothes were worn thin by distance, his eyes deep with stories that had nowhere to rest. Many turned him away. Hunger makes people protective of even their emptiness. Zainabu did not hesitate. She offered him water drawn from her own calabash and allowed him to sit beneath the shade beside her hut. She shared what little food she had, though her hands trembled, not from fear, but from how little there was to give. The traveler ate slowly, then looked at her for a long moment. "You have suffered in silence," he said. "Yes," Zainabu replied, "because noise has never fed me." Before he left, the traveler pressed his walking stick into the ground and said quietly, "The earth hears those who do not insult it with bitterness. What you have buried in patience will rise." Zainabu watched him disappear down the dusty road. She did not chase meaning. Life had taught her that answers reveal themselves only when they are ready. Weeks later, she returned to her neglected land. Weeds had grown taller than her resolve, yet something urged her to clear it once more. As her hoe struck the ground, it met resistance, not the dull thud of stone, but the hollow sound of something hidden. She dug carefully. Beneath the soil lay a clay pot, sealed and old, untouched by time. Inside were cowries, brass ornaments, and gold darkened by age, wealth buried by ancestors whose names history had forgotten. Zainabu sat still. She did not shout. She did not run to announce her fortune. She pressed her forehead to the earth and wept, not loudly, but deeply. It was the cry of a woman whose spirit had survived what her body barely could. Zainabu did not rush her blessing. She understood hardship too well to insult it with recklessness. She rebuilt her home slowly, strengthening its walls, lifting its roof. She invested wisely, planted with knowledge, traded with fairness. She did not forget hunger, and so she never mocked the hungry. In time, her barns filled. Her presence changed. People noticed, not the wealth first, but the calm that surrounded her. The same mouths that once whispered now greeted her with respect. Yet Zainabu did not repay mockery with pride. She understood that suffering educates in ways comfort never can. But the greatest change was not seen in her home or her land. It was seen on her face. The tension that lived there for years slowly loosened. Her eyes softened. Her smile, once rare and cautious, began to appear freely, without apology. The elders later said, "Pain is a season, endurance is a seed." And so, Zainabu became a quiet reminder in the village, a woman who suffered without losing herself, who waited without rotting, and who smiled at last, not because life was perfect, but because she had survived it.